this time. 3-8 versus 6-5, a possible 7-5 here for Team Dignitas, but Phoenix1 is really looking to shoot into one of those playoff spots if they have the chance. The wins are going to be very necessary from here on out. Syndra and
Morgana again.
Syndra and
Just kidding.
Syndra and
I actually think that they also want to early pick the Thresh here. Even though Adrian did show the Blitzcrank last time around, I don't think you want to give over the Thresh combination there with the Kalista. We'll see though. Team Dignitas might have another support up their sleeve. They could just go straight back to the Blitzcrank, but so much of it was really enabled by the Blitzcrank plus Kalista combo that, yeah, there they go. They're not going to let it fall through. Grab the Thresh, and the Premier Jungler actually, Elise did slip through with, you know, the Nunu coming in and taking her place here on Phoenix1's side. So Shrimp now has a completely different game plan. These are very different junglers. From game 1, Nunu, to game number 2, Elise. The objectives are almost the opposite. Elise here gonna go for a lot of that early pressure, trying to get her ganks off.
crowd control lockdown for the bottom lane. Been seeing a lot more Braum lately. Braum Trist, Kalista, Braum. And that's going to be the case this time. One more grab here. Phoenix1 did put that Renekton in their lineup the second time around for game 1. It might just be that Nidalee again for Mike Young, and it is.
All right, this bottom lane as well. A lot of tools, you know, for those team fights. Braum actually is pretty interesting too, because I always like to talk about, you know, the pushing power with him as well. Putting up the Unbreakable when you're pushing with a minion wave and trying to use it to protect that minion wave and destroy the enemy's range wave clear is actually a very important, you know, kind of mid-game tool that teams can also use in siege situations. He's not just really good in team fights. He's really good in most scenarios for the 5-on-5 later in the game. And that's mostly what he's picked for, a bit later in the game, trying to get those melees past the early lane phase.
What to ban? Matched all the way around. See, still top lane focus, actually. That's what they want. Maybe mid lane focus once again from Phoenix1 here.
Yeah, the answer here as well for the AD carry, as we said in the last game, possibility of Tristana. She does show up here, and Altec going to try and take that one. Tristana has two benefits. One, you get those explosive shot trades early on versus Kalista. And two is, if you're able to get jungle support with something like an early game jungler such as Elise in their lane, then you can actually try and take the turret pretty early as well with that explosive shot. And damage definitely adds up over time. We'll see if the junglers actually path more down towards the bottom side, because typically Mike Young has been a solo lane heavy jungler, and more of his time has been spent on the top triangle of the map, but definitely open to altering it.
Orianna getting taken out. Gonna push each other back a little bit more. Top lane, mid lane ban. Phoenix1 looks like they'll just continue to focus that mid lane. They did actually focus Jay Shen last time, as you can see on the pick order at the bottom of the screen. And the team's using every last second here in the second ban phase.
Yeah, most of the premier mid laners actually banned out here, with Cassiopeia being the last kind of super common high DPS mid laner. This is actually a, what is that, 6 mid lane bans, with neither team taking one of them in the first round. And Dignitas get their first crack at it, unless they want to save the classic Keen counter pick for later. And I want to jump out to it since there's so many mid lane bans. Oh, they just play the mind games, actually, showing the Corki, kind of daring Phoenix1 to take it.
How does that not feel good when you have a Nidalee and a Kalista throwing in a Braum?
I'm like, where's the mind game coming from? What are the counters left up? Gaston's already banned out. LeBlanc's already banned out.
I mean, I don't think you would want that, right? You're firing into Braum all day anyways. But
okay,
still,
so
what a comp.
It ends up not being a counter. This is just an answer pick. Victor is not, you know, early game powerhouse or anything. He's looking to farm, looking to get his laser powered up with the Hex score. So I actually do think that Ryu pretty happy with this. And Ryu on Corki, you know, Corki was one of the champions that we did see a resurgence in Ryu's play. He was kind of slumping at the beginning of the split and started to make quite a decent comeback with quite a few Corki games. So we'll see if Mike Young does typically visit that mid lane and trying to get him off to that early start.
Teleports all day as we leave champion select here on the side of Phoenix1. See if they get that map control down. That's what has been plaguing them once they get out of laning phase. They seem to not be able to rotate fast enough to get the plays they are trying to make.
All right, well, we have two very similar team compositions and very standard kind of for the meta. We've got Bruiser top lane, early game oriented junglers, some high DPS there for the late game AP from mid lane, and all your crowd control in the bottom lane. A whole bunch of playmaking here from both support.
All right, get on your social medias. Hashtag P1 win, hashtag dig win. Use those fingers, type real fast, and hit send. We will tally up your votes. Check them out throughout the game. Right now, Dignitas doing pretty well for themselves on the vote and in game so far. The pickup of Adrian seemed to revitalize the team and give them a little bit of what they were missing.
Adrian on Team Dignitas is undefeated still.
You don't say.
3-game streak here for him, coming off of a week of practice only with the team and looking very sharp. Him and Altec really do seem to be clicking. And he definitely got the better of Arrow in their previous matchup with that Blitzcrank constant plays coming out. See what Arrow can have to say about it in round number 2, though, because Kalista has a few more options to try and deal with it.
These are some tiny dragon wings.
It's a tiny dragon.
Good velocity, though. Well done.
Oh, my God. You just reminded me Game of Thrones is coming out tonight. God. Dragons. Bigger ones. Much bigger ones.
30 seconds until
We got time, Kobe. Don't worry. You still have to do LCS tonight.
Yeah, okay. I'm just waiting for it. What time does it come out? All right. Well, we got a fan out here. Should be some, Raptor wards coming down. It doesn't look like they're going to go for any of the tricky invades, as we've seen a lot of teams, spending extra members early on to try and steal away 1 or 2 Raptors. I'd say about a quarter of the time, though, the team that invades to try and take away those Raptors gets punished pretty heavily by the collapse of the defending team, and either has to pull a summoner or gets hugely chunked out before the lane. So I actually did kind of expect it to fall off, and looks like Mike Young will be just fine here. No intervention for either team. No deep ward either, actually, because Zig just lays his trinket ward in the river rather than trying to sneak up and make sure that Shrimp was starting on the duo. Adrian and Altec, though, stopping the super leash at what cost?
Ooh. Some good damage. The early flay is there, but the concussive blows, I feel like, wins this fight very hard.
Yeah, Braum is pretty good level 1.
Another flash forward from Xpecial. The Q wouldn't be just in range. They go for the heal for that speed. Get Altec's heal as well. Now it's just trade for trade on summoners. It's going to be Flash Exhaust up on the side of Xpecial. Flash Altec, Ignite Adrian.
All right, let's see what Shrimp can do with that, because the Team Dignitas bottom lane spent quite a bit in going to delay the jungle of Mike Young, and actually didn't even delay it that much. They did stop the completion of the super strong leash, but now the heal from Altec is gone, and the flash from the Thresh, which is one of the big parts about their early moves. Mike Young's still able to get over to his double buffs in a pretty timely manner. Basically, the main thing for him is that he didn't go back to take the big Raptor after going for that red buff, because the red buff wasn't fully leashed for him. He wanted to make sure that there was no counter jungling done on his blue buff. So smart here by Mike Young, adapting to what happened early on in the game and going over to his blue really early so that Shrimp could not go counter jungle it. Meanwhile, Shrimp actually going to focus on the bottom side because so many summoners were burned. Arrow did use both his summoners offensively, but they've got a ping down on those Krugs. Oh, they're going to face check him.
Bad news bears here for Shrimp. He's only going to be able to repel straight down, just out of room for the Krugs. And now he's going to have to get help from his teammate. Nicely done. Held repel as long as possible for Altec and Adrian to gain some ground.
Yeah, and they kick him out of their own jungle. He also walks over a ward, and Mike Young, again, no interference to him, so he gets to farm happily.
Yeah. It's got
Top lane's actually pushing out, too. Good reaction there from Someday. A little bit of communication. He goes back to ward behind him, just in case, as they expect, Nidalee going for the Krugs is still there. Even with that ward, though, there's a possibility. It looks like they don't want to go for it because they no longer know where Shrimp is, and if he's coming down that top lane, then it would be a bit dicey.
Yeah.
But sometimes, a lot of times actually, even if the opponent wards, you can still go for a gank if they are a bit overextended and just run through the ward and don't stop, even if they see you sometimes. You know, depending on your laner setup and the crowd control available, you can just make it work through vision anyway.
It's that quick feeling of security. I placed the ward. It's going to tell me when people come through, right? Adrian, ever so slowly, at least looking to get a flash out here, but it's just going to be a walkout from Ryu. Also changed over to heal for both mid laners. In that instance, we did see Ryu with teleport.
Anytime a Victor just starts to run at you past a giant minion wave this early in the game, you got to know there's a jungler around. And Ryu's able to read that movement of his opponent to infer that there is a jungler around. Sometimes people will bluff, but super rare, especially with a champion like Victor, into a Corki and a giant minion wave.
You usually attack me from max range. Why are you here? Clean out, keeping it just out of range of the turret. We have a back here from Ryu. See if Keen gets a good push on the wave when he realizes this.
And it's actually a giant CS lead for this early on for Keen here in the Victor Corki matchup. Over a wave right there for him in advance over Ryu. Doing very nicely for himself.
And if that crashes anymore, well, he's already over 2. See if he can grab this. Keen getting a quick Q shield out there. Doesn't actually have to blow a summoner. Very patient play as Mike Young's trying to make some moves for his team. That gives Ryu a little bit of time to kind of breathe in mid, but he won't be able to gather all that CS back up.
Yeah, Ryu wants to keep the wave in his nice spot here right in front of the turret. Also, Ryu's got a ridiculous amount of vision around him now. Fully flanked by wards. Phoenix1 have complete control around this mid lane. Still all the summoners available for Keen though, and as we said, he's doing very well on the Victor this early. See what Shrimp is going to get done though. I'm still have my eyes on you know, this Elise, right? Trying to wait for the first successful early move. Mike Young has made a couple of visits, but Shrimp, after he was chased out of that bottom lane, definitely delayed him a bit.
Nicely done, Unbreakable for a little extra speed. AD carries focus each other for the moment, but P1 looks like they just want the health advantage in lane. The vision means nobody will help, but it doesn't mean we won't get some 1v1s, and ult's coming out there from Keen.
Ooh. Nice rocket there from Ryu.
Felt real good. You see no charges, however, with Ryu, so he's playing it patient, but playing it aggressive still.
Speaking of aggressive, what you would expect for the Elise, you know, the Rex and Elise combo. Everybody always likes to talk about the popularity of the dive. Versus Kled, it's a little bit harder, but he's about to be dismounted anyway. You want to cocoon after you dismount him.
Flashed in front. They get the bounce on Zig. Still no damage just yet. And it's actually the tank to someday. They're going to have to stay a little extra here. It should be still good for Zig to get out. And Zig does indeed get out. Very close to having a pocket pistol for Shrimp, but keeps himself safe, and he's going to waltz home on this one.
Dig fumbled a couple of spells. You know, Cocoon goes wide. They also weren't able to dismount him first, and even with that fumble, I think that Someday is going to be fine teleporting back in. Yeah, they did blow his flash, but he was able to chunk out both members of Team Dignitas in the trade under his turret. So yeah, he teleports right back, and he doesn't lose any minions. Even though the blue steel will come through from Shrimp, there's a lot of wards from Phoenix1 in the blue quadrant of Team Dignitas, and Mike Young shouldn't hesitate to go over there.
Yeah.
Ooh, not even going to settle for a blue trade. He's actually going to get the Infernal Drake here with the dominance of this B1 bottom lane. They force the backs, the recalls there of Team Dignitas bottom lane, and they're the ones in control of Kalista this time, so they get the Infernal.
Very nicely done. Zig being able to stay alive creates the pressure back on top side. He says, "You can't fool me again." After going down in game 1, he plays the Renekton Kled matchup much cleaner. Gives his team a little bit of extra pressure around the map. Now a push here from P1 to the boss side. We'll see what they actually can get themselves back to buy. Not too much gold in their pockets, so they will be staying for a little bit longer.
Yeah, quite nicely played there by Phoenix1. Communication there involved with the timing. And you'll definitely be very happy about getting that Infernal for just a bit of a blue steal. Ryu doesn't really have mana problems there in the mid lane, and Mike Young doesn't need it either. Now that he's got the package, Ryu can play it more aggressively.
Straight out to mid here for Shrimp. Looks like he's going to do bot side for Keen. Nice hook. No follow up. A little too much distance on the lane. Still wait for an overall kind of advantage here for someone. We see that CS in mid has kind of equaled out. Keen wasn't able to get a kill. Summoners are up here for the bot lane. Nothing was really pressured too much for Altec. And everybody has been pretty relaxed after that first engage.
There's a package though. You can't interrupt him in the package either. You can't stun him out of it like you can for the regular W. So for you, gonna power over the wall.
Not wasting too much time. You can see his wave crashing up top for Someday.
Oh, I lost 2. No, 3.
Close. Ooh.
4.
Man. Oh, got him. Okay. I was going to say, watch out that last wave. Don't prune it too strong. Lots of wards down by Drake, even though it was just taken. It's like Shrimp's trying to regain control of an area they don't really need at the moment. Maybe it just happens to be bot lane. They do try to gank.
Yeah, I mean, the Kalista ult is ready now. Online, Arrow just ding level 6, so that playmaking potential is definitely there in the bottom lane. And Mike Young could just walk straight up through the lane and have a lane gank if the Team Dignitas bottom lane got too aggressive, you know, if Adrian decided to take a hook in or something like that. But
Yep.
Not going to be the case here. Mike Young goes for the recall, completes his jungle item. Actually feeling pretty healthy at the moment because he's got the completed Runic Echoes over Shrimp, who's just sitting on parts, and that's a pretty big deal. Both junglers coming down the bottom side, and Mike Young is going for that lane gank, coming straight down bottom lane. They might go aggressive here.
Minion wave push up. Glacial Fissure just hitting there for Arrow, or
now,
for Xpecial.
What you want to do is start this off by Xpecial baiting in a hook or
Yes.
baiting in an engage from Adrian.
Oh, everything gets turned around and on its head.
Nice.
The jump out was already charged by Altec. Box is going to slow Xpecial and do damage. Anybody else just gets slowed, but they're still going to try to avoid it. And here comes the rest of the team coming down. Dignitas had great vision to show them what's happening in Ryu on the way down, so they back off slowly.
Yeah, quite nice there with buffering the rocket jump from Altec. Xpecial turned around on him because he got too close, but once you buffer it and the cast starts, it's going to complete. So he gets out without summoner spells. Meanwhile, Arrow had to burn both. Burned his heal and his flash in that. So Kalista has to play much more defensively now. Remember, this Kalista was denied the Thresh assistance, so not quite as safe, even though Braum can stand in front. It's going to be a little bit more difficult now. No summoners.
That feels really good for Keen. Able to hit every spell in the QWE. Might be a time for Ryu to back overall 1,300 gold for him. He's going to take that chance. And Keen is sitting on just about 1,300 himself.
He wants to get back there. Upgrade is Hextech Core. Zig is pretty much the classic because he was one of the first. He was the first in the North American LCS, at least, to really embrace the Kled. Played a lot of it in solo queue and kind of introduced it to the rest of the top laners here. He's remained a fan after this time, and even with the rise of Renekton and that dominance there, performed very well. We saw him outplay in that 2v1 under the turrets. But since then, we're going to have to wait for some more team play. You know, use his teleport or rotate down with the ultimate. Next straight coming up in 1 minute 20 seconds might be the initiation for that. All 5 members of Phoenix1 on the top side of the map, though, they might pressure for a first turret bonus here, since they've made the switch first. It's going to be against the Tristana, though, and Altec's already on the turret. So we'll see if they get this pressure down, because Altec can rip through that thing pretty quickly, even though it's 1 versus 4 basically in the race. Someday!
Whoa, 3v1, 4v1 on the top. Fate's Call misses. Winter's Bite connects to concussive blows just after. And this should be something on the bot side if they can take it. First blood going over to Arrow.
All right, Phoenix1 get first blood, but meanwhile, Team Dignitas got first turret bonus on the bottom side. So the gold right now was a fairly even exchange, and Team Dignitas are continuing with their push. They have the tempo after as well.
Talked about that combo. If the jungler of Elise was able to come to this Trist lane, it is going to be very fast. You see Arrow heaving those javelins into the turret, almost doing nothing to a brick wall, and they have just lost their second tier and bottom to Dignitas.
Elise has an auto attack reset, and with red buff, you get true damage on auto attack, even on turrets. So as you said, with the Elise coming down, it burns through it very quickly. Explosive shot from Tristana as well. And then afterwards, they're also going to do trade number 2. Mike Young takes the Rift Herald, but Team Dignitas will take the Ocean Drake as well. In the end, it's a fairly close game, but the Elemental Drakes are kind of swinging for Phoenix1 and stacking up.
Rift Herald as well, wherever they want. Might just be mid lane with top being down. Bot will be pushed by Zig. He can control that for himself, and the team gets to prioritize opening up the rest of the map here. Keen will say, I have something else to say with my laser beam, but we'll see here in the top side. Someday just chased down.
Yeah, he was trying to clear out the last of the minion wave, but look at that range of the engagement with the Callista ultimate. Throws special an entire screen forward, and they're able to get the slows down onto Someday to finish up that kill.
Here the switcheroo is. Ultec towards top. Hell, they look to set up basically the same thing here.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Fate's call in just a few seconds, so they're going a little early here. It just triggered on if they need to use it, and they don't. But
Altec?
I was going to say, if Altec comes in, it's going to be too far of a pull back. They get one shot. Glacial Fissure comes out. That doesn't tag cuts of blows, but P1 just coming out of the woodwork, and Dignitas was not expecting it.
Ooh, the bottom lane falters here for Team Dignitas. Adrian getting picked off, and then Altec with a really curious route towards the mid lane. Phoenix1, huge pressure. They also had that Rift Herald, so they can do an empowered push.
Not much damage going to come to this before it reaches the turret. Gravity Field goes down with the Chaos Storm to do as much as they can to clear the minions. It's almost a full shot coming from the Rift Herald. And mid falls. So there's your 2 turrets that Dignitas had just grabbed.
Oh, yeah. Rift Herald means you don't need any more minions. She herself can take off that bonus. And even though Victor ultimate used to clear out the wave, Phoenix1 get the turret afterwards. Yeah, so this is after the swap. There's a big vision advantage for Phoenix1. They even used the teleport, so they didn't end up needing this teleport from Kled as he's really far away, and that's why Altec took this route, okay? All right, so Altec actually, there was no way out for him. That's why he jumped over this wall to go this route, because of the teleport cutting his way off down the lane. Yep. So we can't blame him too much there. He was pretty much cornered, but he did blow the flash as well. Definitely wanted to try and get out of that one alive and run to the mid lane for safety, but yeah, teleport there from Zig is the cost that Phoenix1 paid for that extra kill on the AD carry.
8 times 75 pink wards now in the inventory of Dignitas, basically spelling out what they want to do next. Move forward and protect that vision. Get the plays back in our favor. We're not dealing with these skirmishes last game where they weren't getting anything. P1's able to get a return on investment here with every single fight they make.
Yeah.
Still not too much of a lead overall in the entirety of the game. It's all about the map control, and that could still go either way.
Yeah, that was a very nice proactive play of Phoenix1. Didn't even notice the teleport at the very beginning, but able to earn themselves a decent amount. Let's see what they can do with it. You know, Infernal Drake number 2 would be huge for them to add, because Phoenix1 already have the single one here stacking up. And the gold lead is there, while it's still fairly small. Big thing is, though, item completions. Black Cleaver already for Zig. Actually, a Zig under fire.
Does not look fun. Dominus on is just shredding his HP. So ultimate, or someday with ultimate on, I should say. Definitely too much for Zig right now at this point in the game, and he's going to continue to press top turret.
All right, another little swap here as Phoenix1 send their duo up to the top side again to back up Zig. Looks like they want to send Arrow to go farm out that lane. Maybe they're just going to use it as a bait again and kind of collapse onto Someday. These flashes back up, though. See if he actually gets out this time, because here they come.
He feels like it could be that bait as well. One hit on, the next few, and there's Arrow flying through on the ultimate passive. Hook goes back, Fates call in, but they're going to put Special right into the middle of the frying pan. Glacial Fissure on 3 members of Dignitas, and the fight begins. There's a few members down on Dig. They're trying to return the kills onto P1, but it's a 2 for 3. That's going to be in favor of P1.
Yeah, with that collapse, Phoenix1 do get the map pressure, and they get the extra kill. It was definitely close this time, though. Someday is able to escape with his life, and the rest of Team Dignitas collapsing do get some counter kills there. Phoenix1, though, continuing to push the pressure. They can steal the red buff afterwards, and they leave behind quite a few wards as well, setting up for the next play. See if that vision is actually going to be a big reward again. That has been the big difference.
Could be Baron. Let's see what happens for this fight again, though.
So again, Phoenix1, they rotate their duo lane up behind Zig, and everybody just follows that slipstream in. The extra speed from the Kled ultimate allows them to get here. Huge burst comes down. Nice repel, actually, from Shrimp to not get knocked up at the beginning, and then he's able to flash out here. But Altec and Keen, even though they get their counter kill back, they both go down. So kills onto the DPS there as well.
Mike Young on the Nilly. One of the first ones he actually but played for us in the LCS. And actually requires a bit of that mechanical prowess, knowing you're not going to be the one jumping in to go down first. You have to choose your targets very carefully, and he seems to be on the ball. 3-0-2 this game in particular. Doing good things for the team here as they have a lead. 6-2, just about 1,000 gold.
All right, here we go. We'll see if they can put that 1,000 gold to work, because Dignitas are getting their control wards down around this Infernal Drake, prepping up, and they've got Adrian ready for a pick. Gotta be careful. Teleports are ready for both top laners. They could join. This is gonna be explosive.
Hook misses, but the cocoon hits is enough for him to Valkyrie away. So far, Ryu holding very strong.
Ooh.
And then they go back in with the aggression. These Fates calls are just destroying Dignitas when they try to assess the fight. Everybody gets knocked up, and as they hit the ground, their HP does the same thing. Zig and Someday on the top side trying to make it happen. Mike Young, one last shot. Oh, the shield for the Q comes in. Altec's over the wall as well to stay alive, and Keen limps home to the fountain. P1 come up big again, though.
Oh my goodness. And this is why it's the Callista meta in the scrimmages for North American LCS teams right now. Arrow with the big re-engage there. Fates calls special right into the middle. They Braum combo, huge knockups. This is going to be the Baron, 4,000 health. Someday's in the area, but he can't steal this.
You are correct.
There's a red. You don't get to steal.
Mike Young almost can't even steal it from Arrow. Great combination, great teamwork here from P1 to kind of slough off what happened in game one.
Can they do this quick enough? Shrimp's on the way. They do have a smite and execute, so they're going to try and trade Infernal for the Baron. Consolation prize to Team Dignitas.
Nice and quick. Hopefully they can get themselves out here. Zig using this time to place some wards in so they can kind of route Dignitas to their own second-tier middle here.
Yeah, with the extra gold that Phoenix1 got from winning that team fight, though, they've got Hex Drinker already. Oh, Zig's actually going for a dive.
Gotta watch out for that gravity field. It's put between the team. Whoa, inside the base! Double turret dive from P1! They're giving Dignitas the same medicine, and they say, we want sub 24 minutes! They go on for the second tier. They got to digress, stay back up. Now we got to get the mid-turret, boys. But what are these plays? P1 turning it on.
All right, they got another minion wave coming, too. They can get into the inhibitor here. They're trying to protect that one minion so that they can keep the extra bonus damage. Oh, Altec's getting low.
The rest of the minions are here. They don't have to wait too long. Taking down
Arrow
Dignitas in their own base, turning Dignitas on their own head. What is this? 13-3. Kobe, I don't think they're stopping either.
They're going to beat the time that Team Dignitas beat them in game number 1. Phoenix1 with the quick burn, with the Nexus turrets going down. Someday and Shrimp are up, though.
This is going to be huge. Someday throws on the Dominus. That's the 8 weak damage they can be looking for. P1 trying to say, I can do anything, you can do better. But Dignitas trying to put the belt on this one to lock it down. And they will stop P1. They will put that extra time on the clock. Let's go.
All right, they're going to make them work for it. Solo laners getting back up there for Dig are able to defend. But, man, that's a big chunk of the base Phoenix1 were able to run down here.
Woo, let's see it again.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. Zig starts it out with the Kled, going for the tower dive here. And they just annihilate the two solo laners to start off. Ryu doesn't hesitate to jump past that Chaos Storm. And it's only Shrimp coming in with the Cocoon that's able to delay this and make it so close. They're in there between two turrets, taking down both solo laners. With the Baron buff, that means at least 2 turrets are going to be pretty easy. They buff up, they protect that one minion, so they're able to finish this one out. But again, they go for a dive here. Adrian goes a hook. You know, they're kind of split, and Arrow flashes in to take out the duo lane. Arrow getting his revenge for last game. Is able to equal that one out. All right, there's a lot of actually extra gold for Phoenix1 to pick up here because the bottom outer turret is still standing. They don't have to go back to mid lane. They killed everything in mid lane. I don't know, don't really need to pressure there anymore. They're gonna have super minions going in. They're kind of just hoping that Dignitas are stepping out into the open and they're gonna get a fight with the package here because you'd rather get that extra gold down on bottom side unless they actually want to end it still. They just want to end it. They're going for the Nexus turret fight.
Why not? They got Baron for a little bit longer if they can use these minions. There also is very lacking wave clear on the side of Dignitas. Fight to special going low. P1 Arrow and Zig on the back line, but they don't have a Nexus turret to deal with. Altec's gonna be the next one going down, but he lives for the time being as Someday is just trying to wrangle everybody in. P1 take down Dignitas in their own 24-minute game. We're going to game 3.
All right, no more gold needed. Phoenix1 just press it right back to the Nexus turret and take a second team fight to finish up where they left off. Woo.
Well, I'll be.
All right, game number 2, Phoenix1 strikes back. Who's going to be able to finish this series out? Now this game number 3 is actually so intense. Both of the teams were able to snowball really well. Single Baron led to a victory. Very decisive team fights there. And again, coming back to the reason there's so much pressure on this Kalista pick. First pick in both series. Huge playmaking ability. You have early control in the lane. And then once you transition with a playmaking support that has crowd control, it does wonders for your team.
There's a difference between the two combos we saw too. The Kalista Blitz is really fun. The Kalista Braum is scary because you get in there, it's not a silence, you got another knock-up. It's like having like 2 Malphite ults in your composition coming from the bot lane. And we saw once Glacial Fissure was down, you can still just throw Braum in. So super cycling that back and forth to continue the fights. Zig as well saying, hey, ult's up, everybody else want to go? Let's do this.
Yeah.
Much greater from P1, a lot more confidence in their plays, macro style.
Definitely true. Kled's great for pushing that tempo for them.
Absolutely. So we've got our analyst standing by now to break down that swift P1 win.
Thank you very much. For swift is one way to put it. Both games in this series so far being ultra fast-paced, but this time around, Phoenix1 gets the victory, pushing us to a game 3. Before we dive into the gameplay itself, let's go ahead and take a look at champion select here. Again, Kalista rising in priority for all teams across the NALCS, getting picked up in game 1 and in game 2 to huge effect.
Yeah, game 1, Dignitas picks it, looks great. Yesterday, Dignitas was early picking it, looked great yesterday.
Phoenix1 was also taking it early yesterday. They were losing with it, unfortunately.
But it looked all right.
It looked all right. He has since swapped from the Warlord's Bloodlust to the Fervor. Maybe that's having something to do with it in terms of the early power. But again, this pick, they spoke about it a little bit. What it allows you to do in terms of creating plays, both from the AD carry position and the support position, is pretty massive. And when we look at pushing the pace, it's definitely one of the champions that enables you to do so.
I think that's the big thing is because P1's, first 10 minutes wasn't super fast. The best thing that they did was they took that Infernal Dragon early, and then once they realized there's no objectives down the bot side of the map, and they're not winning any of their lanes outright, they just swap their bot lane to the top side to speed the pace of this game up. You open the map up, and as soon as there's less turrets, crowded around, the dives and engage potential that comes in from Kalista gets that much greater.
Absolutely. So we're pushing in the top side. Then, of course, they pick up the Rift Herald. As you mentioned, the Dragon already being removed from the map. So picking up those global objectives, we saw a very intelligent push here in the mid lane off of a couple picks. Here we go. Shelly, the Rift Herald, going to help secure this one. But I think what most impresses me about this Phoenix1 squad is that in their development and improvement, we've seen an incredible willingness to make big plays like this.
And I think this is some of the mindset that you heard Mike Young probably bring into the team. When they were losing, initially they sounded pretty unconfident about what they wanted to do, and then Mike says, let's just go in and play with no fear, go completely crazy. I mean, I'm not saying he deserves all the credit for that,
right.
But you see the attitude shift with this team where they became very, very
everyone's
scrappy.
over the wall. They're Ryu, they're using their gap closers in. Exactly.
He's flashing forward after he's already been chunked out by the Victor. And I think this is the kind of thing that speaks to P1's mentality right now, where they just want to go, go, go. And Kalista's the perfect pick for that. Corki's extremely scrappy, can make things happen. Nidalee, another scrappy champion. It's a lot of these, like, not super ulti-dependent champions.
Right, and this was just explosive. I mean, again, as shown by the gold graph here, you see how quickly the tides turned. It was a relatively even match up until that Baron. Even off of that Rift Herald push, not a huge advantage. It's that Baron comes through, then the big fight, and now we have total control of the game. Under 25 minutes for it. We're moving to game 3. Arrow picks up player of the game this time around, but I want to talk about adjustments going into game 3 because you did. You had 2 very contrasting games, domination by Dignitas, domination by Phoenix1. Who comes out on top and how do they do it here in game 3?
I think you just have to ban Kalista. It's way too much of a power pick right now, unless you have some super secret thing prepared.
Well, so then Phoenix1 going back on the red side, they're the ones who have to ban Kalista, and what do they drop?
I think you just drop the Morg. I think that's...
Okay.
You know,
so Kalista, Kate, Zach.
Yeah, obviously. So, you know, they take the Kalista, you take the Thresh. You're thinking this is a slightly even trade. And for the most part, I think their bot lane did fine in the 2v2 that game. But the problem with Kalista is once you get out of the lane, sure, her laning phase is strong, but you can take decent matchups. But right now, it just offers too much in terms of its engage potential, in terms of its objective control, and the fact that it's even able to be used defensively to save, you know, your support when he's going in and warding, and maybe your coordination is not quite as good as it should be, but this is a nice little safety button.
I'll also be very curious, back on blue side for Dignitas, with the bans opened back up, you know, will they be able to pick up that Nunu, right? We saw Nunu get banned in the first rotation by Phoenix1, and it feels like, in large part, that helps someone like Mike Young, who wants to be aggressive, not having to deal with the nuisance of a Nunu chasing you around the map, counter-jungling you, and showing up to, you know, to even counter-gank in a lot of situations.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where with Dig back on blue side here, you know, they're probably going to be able to throw that Elise ban back in there. That was something that was left up this time around. And it's something that the Elise has a little bit more gank potential early on, whereas the Nunu, if he runs up to Nidalee, as long as he doesn't get chain speared and chased down, it's a hard thing for Nidalee to punish quite as much. So I do like when they take him off the Elise. He can't play that. Another one of Mike Young's best champions. He's forced onto the Nidalee if he wants to play a scrappy early game, and then you just pick a complete control jungler and Nunu and try and limit those options.
It's kind of interesting. This match, it doesn't feel like it necessarily hinges on any one specific lane matchup either, because again, we saw the swap to the top and the focus in on Someday this time around, and then Zig being enabled to initiate for the team by the same token, though. Ryu getting ultra fed off of that triple kill on the Corki, right? Definitely enabled him to be a bit of a playmaker, but he's someone who struggled with consistency throughout the split and his entire career. Flip side of that matchup is Keen. This is a person that we've looked at has been a major part of Dignitas' success. When he's on, when he's performing in his 1v1s, he can help extend that to the rest of his team and buy them breathing room. So I almost don't know where to direct my attention in this third game.
Because both games were pretty even for like the first 10 minutes, and all of a sudden it just exploded in the Kalista team's favor off the back of a couple skirmishes that broke out. You know, in the 15 to 20 minute mark, I think Dig won like 2 or 3 for 1, 3 for 2s in game 1. Similar story here for P1 in game 2. So if you take the Kalista out, you suddenly have a completely different game 3, and that's kind of what we're expecting to happen, which makes it very strange to say, I think this is, you know, something that's going to repeat from the first 2 games.
All right, so let's take these 2 teams at the pinnacle of their performance. So at their height so far this split, let's call Phoenix1 in their Rift Rival state where they're looking dominant, and Dignitas either in their early weeks or even yesterday in their 2-0. Which is the better team?
I would probably go with P1 just because I feel like their early game is a little bit better. Shrimp also a very aggressive jungler, but sometimes can get caught out a little bit more than I think Mike Young does when he's doing his aggressive plays. So if it's a kind of a match of early game teams and then neither team has shown great potential from playing from behind, I think it just favors the better early game team, which right now for me is P1.
Explosive first 2 games. The series is going to game 3. Meet us back here in a few to see if Team Dignitas or Phoenix1 can end their weekend with a win. We'll see you soon.